Okay, what's up, everybody? We are live tuning in from Alabama tonight. I'm going to give everyone a minute to get checked in here. Let me get the Instagram live going. Instagram is up and running. Let me just drop the comment so people know how to get over here. Comment the word YouTube so you can get the link to the YouTube channel. Perfect. All right, excellent. We're going to get started here in just a second. But before we do, perfect. All right, guys, what's going on? What's going on? If you are just tuning in, we are getting started a little bit later. I know normally I do these at, I think, 1 o'clock in the afternoons, Arizona time. I don't even know what time it is right now. It's 5 o'clock in the evening. We were flying all day, just got off the airplane, just got to the hotel, ate dinner. I'm literally going to go pass out. What's up, Deborah? I see you already inside here. Shout out to Deborah, typically the first person on. Guys, this is going to be short, sweet, and simple. 3 things I want to talk about. First thing is I had a very interesting Uber ride from the airport to the hotel, and I want to share a key takeaway. Second thing I want to talk about is an article or really like an excerpt that my buddy Sam shared on his Instagram. And the third thing I want to talk about is an entrepreneur who has broken through 6 figures of monthly recurring revenue and what she has to say about her journey. So let's go ahead and jump into the first topic. I took an Uber from the airport. So I'm out here in Alabama for the weekend, and I took an Uber from the airport over to my hotel. It's maybe about a 20-minute drive. And the Uber driver, I'm one of those people, I'm weird. I talk to my Uber drivers, believe it or not. And so I'm asking her, hey, how's your day going? She says, good. She says, how's my day going? I say, great. And she goes, what are you here for? I say, well, I'm actually going to be teaching. I'm here to teach a class this weekend. We're doing a real estate investing class. I'm a real estate investor. I've been investing in property for the last several years, and I'm teaching a class this weekend to some of our other investors. And she says, oh, cool. I'm also a real estate investor. I say, oh, get out of here. What do you do? She goes, and sweet lady, super sweet. I'm so grateful I got to meet her. She says, effectively, I have a property that I put on Airbnb. It's a barndominium. I never even heard of that term before. It's super cool, but effectively she took a barn, revamped it, and turned it into these 5 studio apartments. Super, super cool idea. I love it. However, I asked her, how's it going? She said, well, actually, right now it's giving me some issues. It's giving me some trouble. I'm like, what kind of trouble? Well, I had a contractor. The contractor didn't do what he was supposed to do. And now the units, there's issues and challenges. And actually, I'm in a bit of a lawsuit with the contractor, and he's trying to sue me. And I'm not going to give any of her personal detail, but I want you guys to pay attention to the story because I spent a good amount of time talking to her. In fact, we literally hung out in her car in front of my hotel for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes after the ride was over, just because, where she was at, I wanted to see how I can help. And so she's explaining to me that the contractor, unfortunately, took what should have been a 12-month job and stretched it over 3 years. He did not do the job up to par. He did not pass inspections the way he was supposed to and pass it. When she started renting out the units, tenants were saying that this is wrong, that's wrong. All things that the contractor should have fixed were not properly done. And she's now in a place where she's like, look, I just had surgery. I just had a bad back and neck injury, got into an accident, and I don't have the time to, I'm not the handy person. I'm not going to run around and fix everything. And this guy was supposed to have done it, and he's cost me a lot of money, and he's caused me to use up all of my capital to make this project happen, and now it's not happening. And so I start giving her some suggestions. And if she's watching, hopefully you're paying attention to this. I love her, a super sweet woman. As I started to give suggestions, and I said, hey, you may or may not want this advice, but I'm going to share with you what I know. I've been investing in property now several years. We have a sizable portfolio of properties. I've seen it all. I have friends who have done it all. And I told her, I said, hey, with what you're working on, your strategy, there's a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of things that are going wrong. For example, you're the contractor. The fact that a 12-month project went 3 years, that contractor should have been done with immediately, right? He was your GC. He didn't perform. And so what we have to learn how to do, everybody, is when people aren't performing and they said they were going to do something and you're holding them accountable to their word and they don't live up to their word, you've got to cut them sooner rather than later. Here's the reality. When somebody's not a right fit in your world, whether it's a project manager, an employee, a partnership, a relationship, whatever it is, you never look back and think to yourself, wow, I'm so grateful I stayed in that relationship 6 months longer. I'm so grateful I waited to fire that person. You never hear anybody talk about it like that. I've never once thought to myself after firing somebody or getting out of a partnership or getting out of a relationship, I never once thought to myself, I'm so grateful I waited so long before doing this. So when people start to present you with red flags, you're responsible for calling it out right then and there. Don't let things fester. I've done this, guys. I'm guilty of having let things fester, not speaking up right away. I mean, the instant it bothers you, the instant a flag comes up, communicate about it. And so Anthony says be more hands-on as well. And so Anthony, unfortunately, she wasn't it was really cool. It was a contrast today. It got me to see just how classically trained of an investor I've become over these past several years, that I'm lucky. I had mentors, I had coaches, I had people in my corner to guide me through so I wouldn't have to make these same mistakes. So when I started pointing out some of the mistakes she had made and giving her ways to overcome it, not even fix what already happened, but just to move forward. What was interesting is you guys know this phrase, yeah, but. Hey, you should do this. Yeah, but. Yeah, I know, but. And every time I gave a suggestion, and I said, is it okay if I give you some advice? Is it okay if I give you some coaching? She gave me permission to give advice and to give coaching. But then when I would give her something to do, yeah, but. And it reminded me of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And I know if you guys are watching me, you have a growth mindset. You're not on my YouTube channel. You're not on my Instagram if you have a fixed mindset. That's a given. And if you know somebody that has a fixed mindset and you want to see them develop a growth mindset, send them over here. Send this link to them and be like, hey, I love you. I want Marlon to talk to you right now. And she had this yeah, but answer. And after maybe the fourth or fifth time, I said, is it okay if I tell you something? She says, okay. I said, and you may think I'm rude for saying this, but I said to her, we started talking about, I asked her, I said, how much is it going to take to get your property back up and running, rent ready to go, problem solved? She goes, a lot of money. I say, how much is a lot of money? A lot. What are we talking a lot? Like another $20,000, $40,000. Okay, so $40,000 to get your property up and running. Cool. Not a big deal. Like, that's not a big number. It's not a small number. It's just a number. And so I start to give her a game plan about this is what you can do to make that happen. And she mentioned that she's going to want to rent out one of the units. And I said, look, let's rent it out. She says, but I want to rent it out to somebody who they don't have a lot of money, but they're a little bit handy. They could do some handiwork in exchange for a lower rent. I advised against it, but she still wanted to do it. So I said, look, if they can't pay a lot and they're handy and they're an older gentleman and you want to help them out that way, let's, instead of just giving them a low rent rate, let's charge them market rent, but help them qualify for Section 8 housing so that the government pays the portion that they can't afford. And then this is where it got interesting. Yeah, but the government's going to own my house if I do that, right? And so it reminds me of when I first got started in real estate investing. And it's not a knock on her by any means. A lot of people think like this. I thought like this. The misinformation, right? Like oftentimes we think it's the things that we don't know that can hurt us. It's actually the things that we do know that aren't true. And so there was a belief in her mindset that if she did Section 8 and the government was providing some form of rental assistance, it meant that the government would take ownership of your property. And I said, that's not how it works at all. You're still fully the owner. The government will simply help your tenant be able to afford your market rent if they qualify based on their income status. And as I'm explaining this to her, she says, yeah, but you know what? Like, I don't need to charge him that much. Like, I don't need to collect that much money. I mean, I would just be happy if, he could even just be there and do some work. And I said, but don't you need the money to renovate the property? You said you needed $40,000. And you mentioned that you don't want to, you're already $20,000 in the hole from this bad contractor. You got to get to this place. And guys, please don't judge her. This is a learning lesson for us all. she said, yeah, but like I'll be okay. I said, yeah, but if you can make more money faster, wouldn't it help you fix the property up sooner? Wouldn't it help you be able to get good tenants in there and turn this property into a place people want to come on vacation and a place you're happy of, and it's helping support you and your bills? And if you want to donate to charity, you can do all the things if you have more money, and more money simply gives you more options. And she goes, yeah, but I don't need to even make anything. And again, it's this yeah, but. Be careful if you're a person that uses the phrase yeah, but, because that phrase, it comes coupled with some other phrases like, yeah, and I'll do that tomorrow. I'll get to it eventually. One day, I should have done this. I should have did that, right? Like you start using these phrases, and what you find out is 10 years from now, you wake up and you're in the exact same place in life, just a little bit older, a little bit more bitter, and feeling like you got a lot less time. And so she starts to tell me, but the government will own my property. And I say, no, that's not the case. And I start giving her some education. I say, look, I would say maybe about 80 to 85% of our portfolio is Section 8 housing. And I can guarantee you the government doesn't own my house. And how do I know? Because if the government owned my house, then that would mean last week when we had a sewer line back up, I could have picked up the phone and called the government and said, hey, I need you to send Biden. Yeah, can you send the president, send Joe Biden over, or, send the VP, Biden's busy, send the VP over, and she just clean that mess up. Like, no, it's not that person's responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility. What's up, Maurice? And so I start to explain that to her, and there's resistance, right? Like, well, I don't need to charge that much. I don't need to make that much. And I said to her, I said, frankly, it's okay. Again, I'm going to say something. You're going to think, you might think I'm rude. So I'm sorry if this offends. You have a money block. Guys, and this is for all of us, like, pay attention to if you have a money block in your life, because most people do. In fact, not even most people, all of us. Every last person on this planet, including Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, they all have money blocks. The difference is, what level is your money blocked at? Right? Is your money blocked at $50,000 a year? Is it blocked at $500,000 a year, $5 million a year, $500 million a year, $5 billion? Where's it blocked at? Because these financial thermostats are indeed set. And if you are not making what you want to be making, if you have more bill at the end of the month, if you have more bill than you have money, your thermostat is probably set too low, right? Like, it's like if you're at home and you're freezing, your thermostat is set too low. If you're in your life and you have more bills than you have money to pay it, your thermostat is set too low. I want you to raise the thermostat. And so I started explaining to her, I said, look, like, internally, you got two opposing thoughts. You out loud are telling me that you need an extra $40,000 to fix the things up, and that this house is your nest egg, and this is the retirement, and it's going to allow you. And like right now, you're driving Uber. It's not a bad gig, but you're doing it in order that you can get to that next point. And I love that. I mean, she's not sitting on her ass complaining, which I love. She's getting out. She's not just sitting there saying boo-hoo, right? She's doing something about her situation. However, my heart started to feel for her, because I'm like, look, I want to see you win, but right now you got two opposing thoughts in your mind. This thought that I want to go make more money, and this thought that I don't need to make that much money. When a person starts saying I don't need to make that much money, you don't realize you have a repulsion system in you for money, and you will actually push abundance and prosperity and money away from you on a subconscious level. You won't allow, you look at abundance as a bad thing. And what's interesting is, pay attention to this, guys. Abundance is a natural state of being. It's a godlike state of being. The universe is abundant by nature. For example, go to your next apple orchard and go and pluck an apple off the tree. And don't even eat it right away. Just slice it in half, open it up, and tell me what you find. In that one apple, do you find just one apple seed? Of course not. You find multiple seeds, dozens of seeds. And when you plant one of those dozens of seeds, does just one, when that apple tree comes up, does just one apple get born on that branch? No. Dozens, hundreds. Throughout the lifetime, that apple tree can produce hundreds, if not thousands, of apples, with that each have another tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of seeds. Nature is abundant. So when you say, hey, I don't need that much, yeah, you're right. You don't need it. However, don't block it. Don't prevent it from coming to you. Because the language you use around money, the language you use around resources, the language you use, it's either magnetizing things towards you, or you know what? I'm not going to say it's repulsive, pushing things away, because it's never pushing things away. It's just, what are you pulling towards you? You're magnetic towards something. Like, people hear law of attraction and they're like, I need to learn how to magnetize things to me. I need to learn how to attract things to me. Here's the reality. You're already attracting. Like, right now in this moment, you are already attracting things to you. The question is, are you attracting to you your desired reality, or are you attracting to you a non-desired reality, a reality you do not want? And most people are attracting to them what their circumstances is showing them. Most people are attracting to them a reality that they do not desire. Okay, I want to show you what you want to do instead. I want you to understand this, by the way, because I mentioned I love this woman, and she was doing something about her situation. However, as she was speaking, I can start to see where the conversation was turning into. And again, I mean this wholeheartedly. She may be watching right now, so if you're watching, I love you. Starting to complain about the situation and starting to blame other people, starting to blame, well, the contractor didn't do this and this person did that. And it's like, guys, when you start blaming and you start complaining, here's what happens. You actually perpetuate the situation. When you complain and you blame, you perpetuate the situation. Let's talk about blame first, and then let's come back and talk about complaining, because after I explain these two, hopefully you're never going to blame anyone else ever for anything ever again, and you will never complain about anything ever again, because you'll see how detrimental it is to you. It's almost like when that dude did that video Supersize Me back in the day, and people stopped ordering supersized McDonald's because, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm hoping that this will be the case. I wish I had my whiteboard for you. I'd actually pull out the whiteboard session and start doing that. But let's go into this, okay? And before we continue, if you guys are getting value right now, do me a favor, hit the like and share this video with a friend. I want to get as many people on this conversation on a Friday night as possible. If they're distracted watching Netflix, like, I want to get them back on track. So share this out with as many people as you can think of. Share the wealth. If you're getting value, they'll get value as well. Also, guys, tonight, this is going to be the cadence I speak at. So don't expect me to get more hype later. Don't say, like, I'm sleepy, but I'm also, this is my normal cadence of talking. Like, if Caroline was here, Caroline would tell you, like, yeah, this is how he normally talks. So this is where my cadence is at, and I'm enjoying it. So let's just keep flowing. Rhythm and blues here. And also, if you are on my Instagram page, comment the word YouTube. I want you off Instagram and I want you over to YouTube. Help your boy out. I'm trying to grow my YouTube algorithm. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. So do me a favor, if you don't mind, if you're not absolutely hell-bent on being on Instagram, and you could comment the word YouTube, my Manny chat will send you a link to the YouTube. Come over to the YouTube. Make sure you're getting the views here. Make sure you're hitting the like here. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe and all the good YouTube stuff. Also, what up, Kelly Hanno? If you guys don't know Kelly Hanno, the absolute OG, one of my favorite human beings. Got to hang out with her in Florida the very first time I met her a few years back. I missed her in Arizona, but I know we'll see each other again soon. All right, let's keep going here. So I said I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about blame and complain. Two things we want to absolutely annihilate from our essence. We do not want to be people that ever blame and complain. The reason we throw blame out is because when you effectively blame and you start blaming, right? Like, blaming is a justification of why something didn't get done. And when you're blaming, you're pointing the finger out at somebody else. Ultimately, what you are saying without saying it is you're saying that external circumstance, that thing outside of me, that thing that I have zero control of, is controlling me, right? This is the alcoholic saying, alcohol made me drink. This is the drug addict saying, the drugs made me smoke. This is the person that's addicted to porn saying the website made me do it. The person that goes and cheats, well, she shouldn't have worn that dress. That's what blaming is. It is taking yourself out of the equation and saying it's somebody else's fault that you behaved a certain way. It's somebody else's fault that you feel a certain way. Well, when you start to give the ability to control how you feel and to control how you act away to other people, you effectively become a slave. So my question is, the person that you are blaming, do you feel that they are your master? Are you a slave to them? Like, are they your master? Is that who you answer to? Yes or no? Okay, that's what I thought. So if that person, because I know for me, I'm not a slave to nobody, not even myself, not even my own ego, not even my own flesh. I believe in God. God's the only person I bend the knee to. Outside of that, nobody else. So why are you giving that position of master to another person, to an external circumstance? It's relinquishing control. Why? Because you don't want to take responsibility for the part you play. You're considering yourself insignificant. In fact, when you blame, here's what you're actually doing. You are diminishing your own value. You're saying, I'm not as important as God made me be. I'm not as important to this universe. I'm insignificant to the reality of the universe because I don't actually control anything that goes on here. I'm just a part of the wheel. I'm just getting blown around by the wind. Is that really how you feel about yourself? If it's not, then stop using blame, because when you use blame, that is the language you are communicating to the universe. And at the beginning, I said you are always attracting something, right? Law of attraction says you are always attracting and magnetizing, not what you want. You're attracting what you are. Where is your mind getting the idea of what it is? It's through your communication. It's through your own self-talk. When you communicate, you're telling the world, you're telling yourself who you are. And so understand, when you blame, you are telling yourself you are insignificant. You're telling yourself you have zero control. You are powerless to life. I'm not playing that game. Not me. Maybe if you want to play that game, I don't think you do. You wouldn't be on my channel. You wouldn't be watching this video on a Friday night, right? There are no coincidences. You're watching this video on purpose. If somebody sent you this video, they sent you this video because they want to remind you that you are great. You are great. You are special. You are in control. And now exercise it. You are literally royalty. You are literally a son and a daughter of the Most High. You are powerful. You are a creator, a conscious creator. Live into that. So let's get rid of blame. Let's drop the blame. Now, what I want you to also think about is the complaining. So here's why complaining is one of the most toxic things you can do ever. In fact, I'm going to be honest. When people complain, I'm so quick to cut you out of my life. It's not even funny. And when I cut you out of my life, it's not this big, drastic, exaggerated thing. I just disappear. You cannot get a hold of me. I stop answering phone calls, stop answering texts. You don't see me on social media. Half the time, like, I will unfollow you, and I'll also make it that you can't see my content, so you can't even accidentally engage with me, because I don't like that energy in my life. When you start complaining, ultimately what you're doing is you are taking your conscious awareness, you're taking your attention, and you are focusing on the negative side of every situation. Understand, if anyone's ever read through the Kabbalion, right? It's old Hermetic principles. One of the principles is the law of polarity. The law of polarity states that everything is two sides of the same thing, right? Everything, right? So anything that's good, you have the opposite, you have bad, right? So for simple terms, if you have a hot, it means you also have a cold. If you have a left, it means you also have a right. If you have a light, it means you have a dark. If you have a sorrow, it means you have a joy. If you have a failure, it means you have a success. I think you get the point. And so when you start to focus on complaining, effectively, you're looking at a situation that has a positive and a negative, and you are choosing to funnel all of your attention on the negative. And by funneling your attention on that negative, and when you complain, understand you are getting emotionally involved with this negative aspect of whatever the situation is. And when you start to get emotionally involved with an idea, when you get emotionally involved with something, What happens is that emotion mixed with that thought start to impregnate your subconscious mind. You start to impregnate your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is, get this, the womb of reality. This is where results come from in your world. Earlier, I mentioned your financial thermostat. That's an idea that lives in your subconscious mind. So if you're a $50,000 a year earner, it's not because consciously you think you're a $50,000 a year earner. It's because subconsciously you know you're a $50,000 a year earner. That idea got into you at some point emotionally. Maybe your family said, this is how much we earn. This is what is normal when you grow up and become an adult. When you were impressionable, somebody took that energy, they took that thought and idea, or you observed that thought and idea, you observed it with some emotion in a relaxed state, and now it is a part of your identity. It's a part of who you are. It is your frequency. So when you start complaining and you start looking at these negative situations, you get emotionally involved, because I've never met a complainer who is unemotional about their complaining. Every time I meet someone that's complaining, what do they look like? I'm just so mad. I'm just Looks like we're back. Guys, appreciate your patience. If you stuck through the downline, I appreciate you. It looks like we're back. Connection is fairly good. I'm in a hotel, so if the Wi-Fi cuts out like that, bear with me, please. Needing to, if I have to, I will get on a hotspot, but it looks like we are good to go. All right, so, but when you watch a person complain, the reality is they get emotionally involved with the complaining. And so when they get emotionally involved, I want you to take note on this, right? When you get emotional, what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so that energy in motion, that energy that's moving, it's what we call a frequency. And now I know you guys might be wondering what that's all about. Look, I've covered that at so much length in so many different videos. We're not going to get into it tonight. If you don't know about frequencies, if you don't know about energy, do me a favor, just come back. I'm going to actually I was on the airplane thinking about this today. I'm going to create a entire YouTube series of videos that I'll release weekly. And it's going to take you from literally knowing nothing to basically full mindset mastery, right? Like stuff that, quite frankly, my people who work with me pay thousands of dollars for. I'm just going to release it for free on YouTube. I thought about it like a lot, and I was like, you know what? I got to live by I got to practice what I preach, and I believe in abundance. I believe in prosperity. So I will be taking the best of what I have learned over the last decade of studying personal development, manifestation, the law of attraction, the Bible, Buddhist practices, like everything. And I'm going to compile it to the best of my ability, and then I'm going to drop it on YouTube. So guys, be on the lookout for that. When are those videos going to start? Hopefully you'll see them, the first one, at least by January. I just got to make sure I get with my team and we really map out a plan so that once we start, we can finish. So if you don't understand the frequency talk right now, it is all good. Just keep following. I promise you, you're going to get something here. Energy is in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so when you start to put that energy in motion, it changes your frequency. The frequency that you are on affects your intuition, it affects your thoughts, it affects the results, and ultimately your reality. Your reality is a result of your actions, and your actions are a result of your intuition, right? Like that inner calling, that inner trigger to make movements and to do things. And your intuition is a result of the frequency you are on. If you want to change your reality, you have to change your frequency. How do we get our change in frequency? It's that energy in motion. It's vibrating that energy at a new speed. A new frequency comes from emotion connected to a better, higher idea. People don't realize that when you are complaining, you are taking emotion and you are connecting it to a reality that you do not desire. Your subconscious mind is impersonal. It does not care what you give it. It will just as readily put forth a bad idea as it will a good idea, because it doesn't know the difference between good or bad, right or wrong, left or right. It will just take whatever you feed it and it will feed it back to you. It will kick it out into your reality. See, in your world, I want you to recognize your physical world that you live in. Think about cause and effect. The physical world that you're living in right now is the world of effect. It's not the world of cause. The world of cause is coming from your thoughts, your emotions. You are in control of your thoughts and emotions. I know people have told you, no, it's, you feel that way because this, you feel that way because that. The reality is you can control how you feel. You can absolutely control how you feel. There's no question about it. Now, you can't control everything that will happen to you, but you can control how you feel and how you respond about what happens to you. And it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying this is easy. I am saying it's possible. A great book, because what happens is people lack perspective and they're like, no, but you don't get it, man. I got abused when I was a child. You don't get it. I lost my job and I got these bills to pay and I got these kids at home. And how am I supposed to feel a certain way when I got all this going on? You don't get it. And look, those things are true. They're happening to you. They are. However, you are always in control of perspective. You are always in control of recognizing the law of polarity states that whatever your situation is going on, whatever bad there is in that situation, there is equal good for as low as you go. Think about a ball, right? Take a ball, take one of those super bouncy balls. From whatever height you drop that ball, it will bounce up just as high. So as high as the drop is also as high as the rebound. Keep that in mind. A great book. I shared this book yesterday. A great book to go and look up. And I'm going to put together a book list. So Jella, if you're watching, remind me, do me a favor, shoot me a message and remind me to put together a book list behind the books that have been the most impactful on my life and on this journey. And that book, one of the books is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And so quick, 30 seconds. Viktor Frankl was a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps. And while he was in the camps, he noted that some people, you could see it in their eyes when they would pass away. Like he said, you could look into a man's eye and you knew within 48 hours who was going to be dead and who was going to continue to make it. And what he said was when people had they were always in control of their minds, and no one, not even the guards, could get into their mind unless that individual let them in. It didn't matter how badly they beat them, how much they starved them, how much they were freezing, whatever. He said nobody was able to actually break into your mind unless you gave them permission. You were in control of that up until the very end. And when you did finally relinquish control of your mind, he's like, that's when these people would just lose hope and they would drop and die. He said by everything they knew scientifically, every person that went to a concentration camp, based on our science, should have been dead. Between malnutrition, between the fact that they hadn't brushed their teeth and they weren't showering for months, the fact that they were barely getting 200 calories a day, they were having to march out and build railroads in the snow, in the cold, that they were literally clothed in potato sacks that they pissed in, right? Like, he's like, the conditions were just unfathomable. And he said, by everything we knew about what it took to sustain life, every last one of us should have been dead. He said, but what was interesting is when we got word that the Allied forces were just 7 days away and that our potential freedom was only a week away, you would see it. People would gather strength. They would find strength in hope that the Allied forces, and they would begin to hear the guns off in the distance and the bombs off in the distance. And then it would be, okay, 6 more days until the Allied forces, and the guns would get a little bit louder. 5 more days, and you can hear the bombs are a little bit closer. Okay, 4 more days, and it's like we just got to hold out for 4 more days, 3 more days, and then oh man, I can't wait. I mean, people are like at nighttime, they're like, man, what are you going to do when we finally get freedom? Man, I'm going to hug my wife. What are you going to do? I've been daydreaming about eating spaghetti and meatballs. I cannot wait to taste a meatball again and just have spaghetti. Pause. And 2 more days, and then we are out of here. 2 more days, and then one more day tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Allied forces are going to be here, and we're finally free. This nightmare is over. And the day came where the Allied forces are supposed to be there. And you hear the gunshots, they're ringing, and they're so much closer. And then the day ends, and they're still in the camps. And now it's the day after when they should have been rescued, and you no longer hear the bullets. You no longer hear the bombs. And where are the Allied forces? They're not here. And Victor said he would look in the eyes of the other inmates, and he saw it. He saw it in their eyes. He said, that man's going to be dead in 24 hours. That man, he's going to be dead in 24 hours. And like that, all the people that he looked in the eyes, that he called the prediction, they were dead. And what happened? Right? Because nothing really had actually changed between that day they were supposed to be saved and then the following day. But what occurred was internal. Their internal state, they had lost hope. Internally, they stopped gathering the positive perspective of life. They tapped so deeply into just the negative that their own life force extinguished. They gave up. And others didn't. And others eventually became free as time went on and the war waged on, and eventually the concentration camps were liberated. They went free. That's why we have the book, Man's Search for Meaning. That's why Victor was able to write that book, because he eventually gained his freedom. And he shares about this experience, and he talks about the profound nature of thought, the profound nature of man's spirit, the unconquerable force if man takes hold of it. Think about that. Now, whatever your situation is, I can guarantee you ain't in a concentration camp right now, because if you were, you wouldn't be watching me. Therefore, whatever your situation is, no matter how bad it has seemed up until now, no matter how bad it is, understand that there is a seed of equal good inside of your current situation. And if you will only shift your attention towards that and hold on to that, that is the start of all things. That is the start of success. Success is not a destination, it's a direction. It's not a destination, never has been, never will be. It is a direction. Okay, let's keep going here. I said I was going to talk about the situation where that was from my Uber drive. That was, and if my Uber driver is watching this, I love you. And I hope you begin to look into the positive and stop worrying about the past. Yesterday it's done. People screwed you over. I've been screwed over. You lost money. I've lost more money than you have. I promise you. Look into the positive. Go and create anew. Sacrifice is what we call it. You guys remember yesterday's definition of sacrifice? Letting go of something of a lower nature in exchange for something of a higher nature. Now, second thing I said I wanted to share was a little excerpt that my buddy Sam had shared on his Instagram. So I'm going to actually read this from my phone. So forgive me, I'm going to look down. But it was so good. So if you guys know who LeBron James is, and not LeBron James, sorry, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant had a coach. His coach's name was Tim Grover. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Tim Grover twice, once at a conference in Las Vegas, and the second time randomly in the airport in Colorado in the Centurion Lounge. And I got to sit down and have a conversation with him. Absolutely great man, salt of the earth kind of guy. And so it reads this. I'm going to read it from my phone. It says, Kobe sprinted through life like no one I've ever known. He had no hobbies or distractions, didn't play golf, didn't hang out with buddies, didn't go to parties. Occasionally, he decided to see a movie and would rent out the whole theater so he could take a small group of friends or family to see it privately, usually twice in a row. Otherwise, he trained, he practiced, he studied film. Besides his beautiful family, which was his top non-basketball priority, his entire focus centered on one obsession: winning. For 20 years in the NBA, Kobe sprinted from season to season, game to game, quarter to quarter. He never slowed down, and he couldn't comprehend those who did. He'd hear about a group of players heading to a concert or a party or another sporting event, and he'd rarely join them. You go ahead and do that. He thought, I'll be right here doing this. That was his time to elevate himself, to do the work others weren't doing. He believed the extra work added years of advantage and experience to his skill set. He had no patience for wasting or rebuilding. He began and ended every session the same way, racing towards a championship. Guys, what's up, Jacob? Good to see you here, bro. This is powerful. Kobe Bryant, arguably one of the greatest, was willing to sacrifice everything for his dream. Some of you might think this is too extreme, and if you're in that boat of thinking sacrificing everything for your dream is too extreme, here's the reality. The thing that you think is your dream isn't actually your dream. Think about that for a moment. If the thought of sacrificing everything for your desire, you say it's not worth it, then what that tells me is your desire isn't actually your desire. Because if it's truly your desire, what is the point of living without it? Tell me. What is that? Actually rationalize that. Ask yourself that question. What is the point of living without realizing that ultimate desire? And I'm not talking a temporary fleshy desire. Like I'm not talking about, Marlon, my desire is to have a car, right? Like, no, that's not your desire. That's just a wish. I'm talking deep desire. I'm talking like at your core. I'm talking about your assignment, your life assignment. I'm talking about that level of deep. The thing that you were put onto this earth to do, the thing that nobody else can do. If you are not chasing after that, and if you're not willing to sacrifice your life for that thing, then what are you here for? Really? Because, newsflash, your life's not permanent. You have an expiration date. I have an expiration date. We all have it. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week, next year. I don't know when it's going to happen. Do you think Kobe knew he was going to get into the helicopter that day and it was going to be over? He did not know. Do you think Kobe had regrets? I don't think he had a single one. I don't think if you offered Kobe the chance to redo his life and to go a safer path that would not allow him to have a helicopter, that would have let him live to the age of 90, I don't think he would have taken it. Now, that's my opinion. It's speculation. But based on reading this, based on listening to that, this man had a focus, and every day he got to work towards he got to be in the right direction. He was directionally correct. He spent his entire life, his adult life, being directionally correct. I don't know about you guys. Like, I would take a life that dies at 30. I'd rather live to 30 years old, living every single day to the absolute fullest, living in my assignment, living in my purpose, than to live 150 years just going through the motion. Like, a lot of you are going through the motion. For what? To arrive safely to death? That's what you're doing. And so, wake up. Wake up and show up. Wake up and show up, and do it not for the results. Do it for the process. The fact that, like, when you're doing the thing that you were called to do, you stop looking at the clock. Like Kobe wasn't playing the game looking at the clock thinking, oh, all right, like, I just got to do that. I just got to do this for 5 more years. I just have to. No. He was thinking, I get to do this again today. He would lose himself in the moment. And people couldn't understand. They said, yeah, but like, he didn't spend as much time with his kids, or he didn't spend as much time with his friends. Yeah, but he spent time being the best version of him. He spent time with the person he's going to have to spend the most time with anyway. He spent time with himself, and he was okay with it. A lot of people aren't okay with being alone with themselves. Why? Because they are denying themselves. They're denying their purpose for being here. And what's happening is, it's interesting. When I say denying themselves, I'm not talking about this self. In fact, too many people feed into this self, the physical self, the ego self. When I'm saying denying the self, I'm talking about denying your higher self, your spiritual self. You're denying your soul. Your soul came, I can guarantee you this. Your soul did not inhabit this body so that you can just work a 9 to 5 at a job you hate, to go and drink on the weekends, to forget about the week that you just had, and to do this until you're 65 and you can start to take a check and then maybe possibly begin to explore if you even have enough money to do that. But the reality is you won't have enough money to do that because you're working at Walmart, not because you want to, but because you have to, because you didn't go after anything. You played it safe, and now you are safely in the end of your life, realizing, crap, I'm one of those people that if I had time to do it over again, I would do it differently. Wake up. You're here right now. You want a time travel machine? Let me teach you how to time travel. I'm going to show you. I don't teach a lot of people this. I got to make sure nobody's listening. All right, no one's listening. I'm about to show you how to time travel. Okay. I gotta keep it quiet because people are nearby. All right, this is how you time travel. What you do is you close your eyes like this. All right, relax. Take a deep breath in. All right, with your eyes closed, you start to see in your mind, see yourself as 90, 95 years old. Put yourself in the front of your house in a rocking chair. Yep, you start to see it, see yourself going back and forth in that rocking chair. You're on the porch. Now get behind your eyes. Don't see yourself in third person. Get behind your eyes. See your hands on the armrest. Okay? And now imagine that body it's older. It's not 15 anymore. It's not 20. It's not 30 anymore. I mean, you don't move around the same way. In fact, you got one of those blankets on your lap to keep you warm, even though it's a summer day outside. Right? So you're there. And now you're reflecting on the life you lived. And imagine that you continue to live in the same trajectory that you're in right now. You continue to work the same job. You continue to start projects and not finish them. You continue to be with that person who isn't quite making you happy. You kept the people around you who weren't quite bad, but they weren't really good. They were just, you considered them neutral. You kept them around in your life. I mean, close your eyes. Really see this right now. Don't just let me be. Guys, I'll do this without you. I don't care if I look stupid. I don't care if I look silly. I'm way past that. And so you see all these things, and now start to ask that old man, like, yeah, how do you feel? How do you feel about this being the end of your life right now? Like, I mean, real talk, how do you feel? And when I ask myself that question, he says to me, like, man, like, I wish I went for it, man. I mean, like, here I am, like my brain, I still see it. I still feel like I could go for it. I still feel sharp, but my body's not working the way it used to. And man, I'm looking back and I'm realizing I wasted a lot of time. I mean, I could have woken up early. I could have put the phone down. I could have read a book. I could have committed to the plan. I could have saw it through on those bad days, on those tough days. I could have worked through it. I really could have. And I didn't need to give up quite so soon. I didn't have to quit. I mean, that third year, it was hard, but I could have kept pushing. And, I watched friends who I started with, and only a few of them, they kept pushing through. And I mean, oh man. And, quite frankly, some of them died before me, but man, I almost like didn't even like talking to them because their lives were just so much. I got jealous. I don't want to be jealous. I wish I could go back. If you could put me back, I swear I would do the work. I swear, if I could go back, I would do the work. And guess what, guys? There isn't a time machine. You can't go back. We haven't figured out time travel. But here's the nice thing. Open your eyes. You're here today. You're here right now. You are back. It worked. You time traveled. You are back. You're in your 25-year-old body. You're in your 30-year-old body. You're in your 35-year-old body. You're in your 45-year-old body. You have another decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades ahead of you. The time travel worked. Are you actually going to do the work now? Are you actually going to commit? Are you actually going to sprint to your championship? Are you going to, if you don't know what your purpose is, are you going to go seek your purpose out? Step 1, go find your purpose. Step 2, go do everything to realize that purpose. That's it. Overcome this body. Overcome this worldly desire. Overcome the flesh. Overcome the instant gratification. Overcome the blame and the complaining and letting other people control your emotion. Overcome letting other people set your frequency. You set your frequency. You control your thoughts. You control your emotions. You control your emotional response. That's on you. You have just been gifted that power. You've always had it. I'm just reminding you of it. Okay. Last thing I want to share with you guys, and then we're going to start to wrap it up. What's up, Jella? Good to see you. All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see how this works out. All right. I'm thinking you guys can see this. Let me come back. Do me a favor. Comment. I can see it. Let me know if you can see it in the chat. Again, if you guys are on Instagram, this is going to be really difficult to see. So make sure you comment the word YouTube so that you can get the link and you can actually see it full screen on the YouTube page. But Chris Dickinson, appreciate you, bro. Chris says he can see it. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over here. I want to read this to you. I'm inside of a school channel, and this girl right here, Atina, she just recently won the school games as well as the 2 Comma Club. If you guys are in the ClickFunnels, you know what that is. Even if you don't know what it is, all good. Let's read through this. So she titles it Plot Twist. This wasn't all just for the school games. So it's Monday morning, and I woke up to this message from my co-founder, Gabbar Kristen, screenshot below. We'll get to it. I cried. The happiness cry. Most people thought we were just another AI startup running off ChatGPT until they saw our product. But I found out we won the 2 Comma Club award. And now I'm going to spill the tea on what went into this insane win. Right after winning the #1 spot in the November school games, breaking the monthly recurring revenue record, and winning a Cybertruck. And this journey wasn't glamorous. It was lonely, like really lonely. I missed birthdays, skipped family dinners, went days without seeing my kids' faces. My friends, I lost them. And thank God I found the amazing people in this community. My family, haven't talked to them for months. My phone was dead silent except for my team calls, messages from school creators, and school DMs. There were moments I wondered if this insane dream was worth it. I didn't know we'd win both the 2 Comma Club award and the school games with a brand new business, as they have completely opposite rules. I was told it's almost impossible and that I couldn't try for both at the same time, but something inside me refused to quit and reminded me of my favorite quote: impossible is merely untried, Tina. When we got this email this morning about the 2 Comma Club award, it wasn't just another trophy. It was proof that sometimes crazy visions aren't just dreams. They're blueprints waiting to be built and showing us what's possible. For every entrepreneur watching who feels alone right now, who thinks nobody understands their grind, I see you. This win, it's not just me, it's yours. Here's what I've learned since starting this crazy competition. Embrace the lonely nights. They're your secret weapon. Build systems, not just dreams. This is your time machine. Surround yourself with people who believe in you when you can't. Let the bigger dreams and visions of mentors in this community build you up when you're unsure. We went from zero to multi-million-dollar momentum by doing what others wouldn't. And you can too, with hard work and not giving up on your dreams, right? And so obviously from here, she says, book a discovery call. But just look at that. Look at that, right? Like, guys, Kobe said it. While everyone else is stopping, everyone else quits, he just kept going. This weekend, Friday night, you know what's cool? You guys, on a Friday night, you can be doing anything else, right? And real talk, after this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hop in the shower. I'm going to jump into bed. I'm probably going to watch a movie and pass out so I can get some sleep, because I've been going since early in the morning. However, before I do that, what did I get to do? I got to come on live with you guys. I got to complete another day, day 20. I got to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs like yourselves, who on a Friday night, rather than going out drinking again, rather than rolling up a joint, rather than sitting around and complaining, you decided to jump on my live. You heard what I was talking about, and you stayed on. And hopefully you were taking notes, by the way. And I'm sorry, somebody remind me at the beginning, like Jella, do me a favor, remind me at the beginning of every video to tell you guys to take notes, because I want you to take notes. And then what I want is when the video is done, right? Like right now, you guys are in the live chat. And when you're in the live chat, this is cool. The comments go inside here. However, the video after it's done and it's uploaded to YouTube, I want you to go back and share your notes so that now the next person watching can say, oh, that's what I'm going to learn in this video. Fire. And so on a Friday night, you're here bettering yourself. You're here working on self-mastery, becoming the next level version of you, tapping into a new frequency. So kudos to you. I'm proud of you for being here. Really, I mean that. And also, thank you for being here, because this is how I used to spend my Friday nights, but I spent them alone. I wasn't on a live with other people. I didn't know anyone else was doing this with me. So I get to see that Anthony is here, that Don, Rich, Karen, good, Deborah, right? Like that all of y'all are in here, that Jella's in here, Chris is in here. I saw Jacob earlier. Shout out to Jacob. I met Kelly, right? So I appreciate you guys being here. And so thank you for joining me on this mission. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And this is your reminder. Stay with it. Keep working at it. You know what? I got to share one last thing, actually. Hopefully I can find this. Who did I send it to? Let me see, guys. I'm looking through my Instagram right now because I believe I sent this to either Sam or I thought I sent this to Sam. I guess I didn't. All right. Normally there's a few people like I send things to that like speak to me, but I'm going to just summarize it for you. I'm not going to have the exact stats. So, don't perfectly quote me on this. But there was a guy who was on Instagram, and what he was doing was he was on YouTube, and he was looking at people who had YouTube channels, and he was looking at when they started their channel, and he was looking at when their channel started to blow up. And in fact, actually, I think, okay, perfect. I actually do have it here.
My favorite things to do is look at the starting dates of big YouTubers' channels compared to their Google Trends. iShowSpeed started 2016. His Google Trends only started taking off in 2021. Mr. Beast started 2012. His Google Trends started taking off 6 years later in 2018. Emma Chamberlain started 2016. Her Google Trends started 3 years later in 2019. Everybody expects an overnight success, but so rarely that's what actually happens. My favorite things to do.
So I know that was backwards, but if you heard him, he's talked about Mr. Beast, he's talked about iSpeed, and he talked about Emma Chamberlain, and he basically says they started their YouTube accounts because these are the world's most famous YouTubers alive. Like these people have hundreds of millions of subscribers. If you guys could think about what that means, I mean, it's absolutely bonkers that more people know them than even some movie stars. Like these people are more famous than movie stars, and they did it from their computers. And so he says, if you look at their pages, YouTube shows you when a person starts their page, and typically what you're looking at is like about a 6 to 8 year gap, he said, between when they started their page and when people finally started Googling them and searching them, and they became people started looking them up. So think about that. If you're year 1 into your business, you're year 3 into your business, and you're not there yet, chill out. It's okay. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're gathering skills. You're gathering experiences. You're building a story. You're becoming more interesting. You're becoming more capable. That's the season you're in right now. You're in winter season. Your roots are growing stronger. So that's my reminder to you tonight. Don't quit. Don't give up. You guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Again, if you're new to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and take your notes that you took tonight, whatever stood out to you, and share it. Like actually come back to this video and comment what stood out to you. And the reason, check this out, I need you to do this because also if you're just listening to me and you're not taking notes, really, you're just entertaining yourself right now. I don't want you to, I'm not that funny. I'm not an entertainer. Right, like I'm speaking slow. Like I'm doing all the things that the YouTube gurus tell you not to do. I'm doing it, right? Like they'll tell you, no, you got to have a strong hook, and you got to have a caption, and you got to have a product at the end, a call to action, and all that. Guys, I'm just showing up, and I want to see you win. And so the best way I know how to see you win is while you're listening to me, while you're listening to these sort of videos, when you're on YouTube learning, treat it like you're in a college class. You'd be, if I ever saw a person show up to a college class, imagine this. You go to Stanford and you look in there, and them students don't have pens, pencils, iPads, nothing to take notes, or not recording the lecture, any of that stuff. You would be like, yo, what the hell are they doing? That's how I think when you guys are watching these videos. And then some people are like, oh, well, no, I'm just going to come back and rewatch it. I mean, great. You're helping my algorithm out, but are you helping yourself out? Like, guys, don't I talk for like an hour? Sometimes 2. I mean, the other night we did 2 hours here. So make sure you're taking notes. Yeah, and Jacob, you should start live streaming. Shout out to Jacob. What up, Jacob? Long time no see. People are about to be coming to you because it is about to be tax season here shortly. But make sure you guys are taking notes and then share those notes with others. Come back to this video, share it in the comments, share it on Instagram, tag me on IG. I would love to read your notes. Here's what's going to happen. I read through every comment I get. I don't always respond because sometimes you guys are saying like great video and I'm just like, cool, thank you. But I do read every comment. So share it. I want to see what you guys are putting. And we'll be back tomorrow for day 2. It'll more than likely be later in the evening as I'm out traveling this weekend. But you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Appreciate you for being here. And last thing I want to say, Anthony Johnston, appreciate you for being here and commenting as much as you did. Anthony says, take a screenshot and tag Marlon and talk about what you learned in today's show. Support to my brother. Anthony, I appreciate you. Love the love. And you are the freaking man. So I will see you guys here tomorrow night. Enjoy the rest of your day.